that happened in my life. So today, I was in my office. I was on my computer. I guess there were some there were some the electrical poles. I live in a townhome community. I guess they were working on those. So there were guys outside working. Tuesday is trash day for us. So my trash can, it usually sits on my patio, but I had to take it outside out the fence so they could dump the trash. So I look out the window, and one of the guys who was working on the electrical poles, I see him walk up to my trash can with all these cardboard boxes. So I open up the window. I was like, "Hey, my man, what you doing?" And he was like, "I'm cleaning out my truck. Can I use your trash can?" And I was like, "No, you can't use my trash can to clean out your truck." And I was like, "That stuff can go in the back of your truck, right?" He was like, "Well, yeah, I just got it off the back of my truck." I was like, "Yeah, you can't use my trash can. What is this? Who raised you? You just can't use a stranger's trash can. That's sacred."
Wait a minute, hold on. Isn't it illegal to use other people's trash?
I didn't know that. I know it's illegal to open someone's mail. I don't know if it's illegal to use someone's trash.
So, okay, so then my question would be, why are you in a position where you have to research searching other people's mail, but not throwing stuff away in other people's trash cans? Like, it feels like you would definitely throw something away in someone else's trash can before you have the thought of, oh, I should read their mail.
I don't know. I just know I looked out the window and dude was walking to my trash can with like 15 cardboard boxes. And like, he was just going to throw them in there like nothing had happened. And he's going to walk away if I hadn't seen him.
Yeah, because he said, yeah, they recycle for you. They don't recycle on his side of the street.
I don't pay for recycling. I have to drive up the street to a recycling center. I don't pay for someone to come pick up.
So then my next question is, was this a brother or a...
It was a brother. That's why I hit him with my man. Because I was like, dog, what are you doing?
So wait, let me get this straight. So the black man comes by trying to help, get some stuff to the garbage, and you turn him away.
Hell yeah.
This is the third week that we got him, Kyle. This is the third week in a row that we've got him on some anti-black shit. We got him. We got you. Can't fool us any longer.
Our trash can is very small because there are only two. It's only my wife and I, and it fills up quickly, especially on the weekends, like Sunday when I'm cooking, when we're cleaning the house. Like that trash can fills up quickly. Like I don't have time to be maneuvering around cardboard boxes because Jim can't wait to get back to the shop to put the cardboard boxes where they belong. Because I know he drives his truck to his shop where he gets his his personal vehicle to go home. So why can't you unload the boxes at the shop? Why you got to use my trash can?
Because you're already doing it. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. Maybe he was trying to make a friend in you. Maybe he was using that as a way to...
He didn't even know I exist.
Okay, my next question for you is, when did you realize you hate black people?
I don't. Now we're getting crazy.
It was Kanye. It was Kanye talking about Hurricane Katrina, right? You saw it.
Crazy.
Yo, can we bring back like OG original award shows, like live award shows, where it's like I know the writers are on strike right now, so it might be a little wild. But yo, do you remember your reaction when you just watching TV and Kanye goes, "George Bush does not like black people"?
I do, and I remember Chris Tucker. I rember like Michael
Chris
Myers.
Tucker didn't know what to say.
Chris cut. They cut to Chris Tucker, and he was like, "What you want me to say?"
I like the Michael Myers, just like because he's standing next to Kanye when he does it. Just like like what does he have? What can he say?
Michael Myers had the perfect. Michael Myers gets no blame in this. He had the perfect reaction because I would have had the same reaction.
Michael Myers. See, Michael Myers. Listen. The world wouldn't have seen this vision, but I would have saw it. See, what you should have did, Michael Myers, is you should have gotten your Austin Powers back. Just looked at him and just said,
"Oh God,
well, groovy, baby." Listen, okay, this is somewhat sports related. So, speaking of Austin Powers, Kyle, I recently watched the full Netflix series Quarterback, and when they were not Quarterback, I was watching Hard Knocks. That's what I was watching. I've been catching up on Hard Knocks. And obviously, I was very interested in our guy, Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, this show, if anything, the number one thing Hard Knocks has done has reminded me how much I love Aaron Rodgers. I had a little animosity that he left or he got traded, but watching Hard Knocks reminds me how much I love the guy. Anyway, they start talking about Nate Hackett. And if you guys haven't watched, Nate Hackett has this love for Austin Powers Gold member. Like, you ever find, which brings me to this, do you guys know of those movies where you're just like, oh, this is a cool movie, but then you meet someone who like finds that movie to be like the shit and they like know everything about this movie? That was the feelings I had when I was listening to Hack talk about Goldmember, because I was like, damn, Goldmember was a cool movie, but do I need to go back? Because he knew everything. Everything, all the facts.
Do you know why he likes Goldmember? Beyonce. That's the only appealing thing about Goldmember is Beyonce.
Okay.
I do find Michael Meyer funny though. So
he is funny. Like Austin Powers is my jam.
The rookie tight end making me mess up that name so much.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely not talking about you, Mr. Las Vegas Raider. We are definitely talking about the OG Michael Meyer or Shrek, because he was the OG in Shrek too. Which, by the way, I will put the first 3 Shrek movies up against any other children's trilogy outside of Toy Story, and they can give them a run for its money.
Okay,
Toy Story is the number one. Like,
Toy Story
I don't,
the first one
I don't know if anything beats Toy Story in terms.
I love The Lion King, but like any of the sequels weren't that good. So as a
trilogy, The Lion King was spearheaded by the OG. Now, if we go like OG movies, that's a whole different argument. I'm talking about like trilogy, so you got to have like some equity in the storyline. Like,
no, that's fair. Shrek it was a really they were able to.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Because sometimes a movie is just designed to just be one movie. It's so successful that they force feed us a second and third.
But
that doesn't always work well. Most of the time it doesn't. Sometimes they can recapture it a second time.
Yep.
But and the Shrek is probably an example of that.
Toy Story just had that good, consistent storyline. So along with Shrek, which now I'm gonna get on my wild take.
Here we go.
Put Shrek, any trilogy out here. I'm telling you right now, we can do a trilogy versus trilogy Royal Rumble. Shrek is finishing top 3 at least.
Yes, it is finishing top 3. Oh, Kung Fu Panda. I've never seen all 3 Kung Fu Pandas.
No. Kung Fu Panda 2 won all that. 3 was good. 1 was obviously the OG. 2, I think, is where they fell off. But that's just me, Akili. That's just me. I'm serious. And I'm not just talking about children's movies. I'm talking about across all genres.
Yeah.
Shrek will finish top 3. That's
I don't think I'd go that far, but I can respect the take.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but
name me some trilogies.
I mean, I ain't got nothing.
Go ahead, Danny.
No, I was like, I ain't got nothing off the top of my head.
Movies like superhero movies don't count unless it's like the Dark Knight trilogy.
Well, that's what I had 3
like MCU sort of storyline.
I really have 4 that come to mind, and Dark Knight trilogy was one of them. Lord of the Rings trilogy, my absolute favorite movie trilogy of all time. That would win the Royal Rumble in my mind. The original Star Wars trilogy, and
that's 2.
Another movie where it was just it was supposed to be 1, and then it was so successful that they made a 2 and a 3, and now a 4 recently, but the Matrix trilogy.
And I would like to throw in the revamped Planet of the Apes movies. Those were great.
True, yes.
No,
absolutely.
Okay, actually, the more I think about it, I'm going to adjust my argument because I just thought of 3 movies in my head that I would put above Shrek. So I'm going to say Shrek finishes top 5. But here's
7.
my list. No, top 5.
7.
But listen.
Okay, go ahead. My bad.
The Dark Knight trilogy.
Correct.
You got I just had it in my head. Rush Hour.
Yes. Hood classic.
Bad Boys.
Yep. Don't forget Friday.
Oh shit, this might be 7 because
see
Harry Potter and Star Wars
5
my
movies.
Next one. And I'll put Shrek top 7 trilogies all time.
You forgot Die Hard.
I'm gonna walk it back from 3 to 7. But I'm gonna tell you, after that, Despicable Me.
Bam,
no, stop. Bam, don't listen. Don't.
The Minions are quite hilarious, to be fair.
Nah. You can't put Despicable Me up there with Shrek. We're talking about Shrek.
Donkey's pretty funny throughout too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I would throw in Die Hard. Die Hard is a trilogy for me. Well, now there are 4, but there were 3 at once upon a time.
The thing about this list, though,
Matrix, so you're fine.
The thing about this list, though, it's quality. Every movie was quality. Some of the ones that y'all start bringing up, they might have a movie that was and then they came back on the 3rd one. I'm talking like the trilogies I done named, everyone smoked them. Even though I know a lot of people feel a type of way about the Dark Knight Rises, I really liked it. Took a little bit for. I really liked it. Now, what I didn't like, my only beef with The Dark Knight Rises, Batman in no world should ever get his ass whooped the way he got his ass whooped in that cave. And Bane supposedly just breaking his back and leave him there. Come on, dog.
No, Bane picks him up and takes him to the prison.
I mean, that's what I meant. Bane taking him to the prison. Like, come on, dog.
Yeah, for me, it was Bruce. It was Batman's rehab in the prison. It's like, oh, dog, all you needed was some bed sheets and like a rope, and all of a sudden your back is stronger than ever. That
Luckily,
was
the greatest doctor ever was also imprisoned here. Too.
Doctor Strange just happened
the Born
to be
Identity
in
trilogy.
I love that. This dude gets his back completely broken. Like you just hear it, and this guy just magically and let's talk about the timeline. Listen, let's talk about the timeline. This probably took a couple weeks, maybe a month at most.
There's no way you heal from a broken back, because that bomb had 8 months. It wasn't even a year. It wasn't a year. Like it was winter when he broke his back. It might have been a year because then it was winter again because it was snowing. Like there were flurries. So it might have been a whole year. It still takes longer than 365 days to heal from a broken back to the point you can start fighting cats in the street.
Yeah, Batman. Listen, Batman's the greatest superhero of all time, but we can talk.
He's not a superhero.
Stop. Neither is Iron Man. Then.
Okay, they just rich dudes. That's fine. I'm down with that. They just rich.
Bugging. Yo, see, you about to trigger me. Stop playing with Batman.
They
like
just
that.
rich.
Batman is the GOAT. Batman. I don't want to hear that Superman shit because Superman is what some people will call what's the word I'm looking for?
An alien?
A bitch.
How you been? Hold on. So no. If Superman were in Gotham, there would be no crime. Batman consistently gets his ass kicked by mediocre villains.
You can't say that because
Superman could take care of.
Either.
Metropolis is being attacked by supernatural beings. Batman is dealing with a dude in a purple suit and a guy who's 3 foot tall and 3 foot wide.
Metropolis ain't nothing but Salt Lake City in the air with an alien.
Dog, no, man. If Two-Face was running around Metropolis, that'd be a 1 episode thing.
Gotham City's like the real New York City. Like Gotham City is the real New York City. No. Batman be dealing with some real fucked up people. Superman just be dealing with crazy aliens who want to just take over world domination.
But that's different. Like Clark could fly in the sky, like pinpoint where everyone is at, and take them to jail.
Some of these Batman villains, you can see a motherfucker like Joker. We matter of fact, what was my man name? Wayne Gacy, Joker.
Dog,
come on!
Superman will fold them up, and I know there's a movie on Max.
But see, that's the problem. Batman know how to beat everybody, villain or superhero. That's why he don't kill him. He finds pleasure in beating the hell out of people and letting them come back and try it again. That's how he gets smarter.
Nope.
You notice that he gets smarter with the enemy. Yo, you bugging.
Nope. He's
Batman
just
and Spider-Man 1, 2. Easy.
Now with Spider-Man is a superhero because you know what? He can do things that humans can't.
Batman's a superhero.
Bruce Wayne is just rich.
Bruce Wayne is the DC version of Tony Stark, and they're both superheroes. Don't act like you wasn't in the movie theater crying after the "I am Iron Man" snap. You was in there crying. You ain't crying over rich white man, and if you are, we gotta shut this whole bitch down and have a whole conversation about it. Stop it. What are we doing?
Maybe Batman's superpower is the super healing of his spine. Maybe that puts everything all together, and everyone be happy.
You was in the movie theater crying when Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. died. Now, if you gonna sit there and tell me that was Tony Stark ain't a superhero, next thing you're gonna be telling me is that Queen Daenerys is a superhero.
Who is Queen Daenerys?
Yeah, exactly. You ain't even on your Game of Thrones.
Throne of Games.
Oh, I see. I watched Game of Thrones, and they start having sex with their cousins, and I turned it off because that is not for me. That is they were having sex with their cousins, and I was like, "Oh, this is not for me."
That was his sister.
Second off, man, my bad.
That makes it better.
That was his sister. Second off, it was an integral part of the storyline that you just had to get through because once you got through it, you understood it. Tell me I'm wrong, Kyle.
I'm not the Game of Thrones guy to ask. I just find this whole thing
why they were doing it.
This entire conversation started just because I mentioned Michael Myers. I'm so sorry because I figured this episode would take a long time because we go through tangents and stuff. We haven't even got to the first topic yet. We haven't even got to the introductions yet. So I think the folks are in for an amazing show tonight. That's for sure.
All I'm saying is that little bit of incest was a small portion of the show.
That little bit of incest? Listen to yourself, man. Listen to yourself. If you talking about me crying over a rich white man, you out here talking about banging someone's sister. That's crazy.
Contextually at the time,
crazy.
That was more normal than you think it was because of people.
Crazy.
contextually at that time, it was more accepted.
Hey,
because
dog,
it was
I
all
can't come
about
out to play. I
bloodlines
got to
and
bang my
power and
sister tonight.
community.
Excuse me?
Welcome to Speak On It, episode 114. Welcome to Speak On It, episode 114. I am the bro with the fro, and you know when we speak on it, it is time to go Los D Mix. As always, joined by the smoothest bald head on the East Coast, Danny Ocean. How you doing, my brother? Outside of hating on Game of Thrones.
Listen, I'm doing great. It was a great day, and I'm not hating on Game of Thrones. I'm just saying for me, like once I learned that they were brother and sister and they were sleeping together willingly, I pulled the plug. That's it. Like that just wasn't for me.
Okay, first of all, I want to acknowledge Bam is right. So it was. When I say normal,
Thank you, Bam. Thank you, Bam. It wasn't
yes,
normal. That's why they hid
It
it.
wasn't necessarily normal because they were afraid of being looked at.
Walk it back. Walk it back. Walk this incest back.
Looked at a certain way. But I'm talking about during the time period in which this is historically set in. This is a little bit more common than people would think.
Historically set in a fictional universe, which to be fair, they can make whatever rules they want.
Thank you, Kyle.
Right? So, well, actually, I'm going to say to D's point, in this fictional universe, that might be.
Nope, true. You got him. We got him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome a very special guest, almost like a third member of the show, Kyle. Welcome back, my brother.
Welcome, Danny D. Thanks for having me on. I love watching, listening to Speak On It every week, and love interacting with you guys. To be able to do it on camera, on screen is great. I'm part of the Going for Two Live family, so people can catch me on Monday nights. We do a pregame show. Gladys, Dan, the B League says, myself, sometimes Doc will join us as well, Dr. James Ferretti. And so Monday pregame show will be great. We'll get the plugs out of the way, and we can get to speaking on it.
Yep, absolutely. And as always, y'all make sure y'all go check out Kyle. The content is always great. Danny, let them know we're Speak On It here every Tuesday at 7:30.
It's not by people who believe in incest. It's by goingfor2.com. Season is here. We are a week out from Thursday. Drafts are happening over the next 2 weeks. They have happened already. We have some drafts coming up. Cal is making the money sign. Someone watched the Johnny Manziel documentary. We're going to...
See, I was thinking of Michael Sam sacking him, to be honest. But, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't watched the Manziel documentary. I do like to think of Manziel in the CFL. That was fun for my team, especially. But yeah,
you should watch it. It's interesting. He was a wild man.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Again, goingfor2.com. We are here. Waiver wire, whatever you need to win your fantasy league. To be more like me, because I am the reigning defending champion in our dynasty league. So I only have a couple more weeks to talk my shit, and I plan to do so because it's going to be a rough season over at Ronald Asley's tax returns.
Kyle, you ever heard this one rapper? His name was Notorious B.I.G. Some called him Biggie. Mm-hmm. He once had this bar.
What'd he say?
Your reign at the top was short like leprechauns. Get out of here. Get a team. We is not afraid.
You know what else Notorious
Nobody is afraid
for? He says, don't sleep with your sister or your brother.
Which song is that?
First off,
that's from the grave.
On my jacket either. He trying to put that on my jacket like I did it. I ain't do. We talking about Game of Thrones. Don't put that on my jacket.
Hey, you support it. You support Game of Thrones, so I can make that link.
Listen, we're gonna talk about fantasy a little bit later, but we're going to start off in the NFL.
Let's do it.
So, as we continue, as we look ahead to the season in a few weeks, we continue our weekly divisional coverage. Last week, we did the NFC South and the AFC North, I believe. And this week, we are finishing it off, ladies and gentlemen, with the NFC North, a division that Kyle and myself pay a lot of attention to throughout the year. So we're going to go through some records, division winners, storylines, you guys know, breakout players, so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the NFC North, the only division that regionally makes sense in the NFL, by the way. When we talk about the NFC North, you know who we talking about. We talking about the Chicago Bears. We're talking about the Minnesota Vikings. We're talking about those Detroit Lions. And then, of course, we're talking about the real kings of the North, undisputed kings of the
Okay.
North. You other teams, y'all just taking up space when really the Packers from Green Bay lead the race.
Okay.
Yes.
Pop
Let
your
me tell you
shit.
something. Let me tell you something. I went to a DJ class yesterday. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Kyle, do you want to start us off? Or you want me to start us off just to set the tone real quick? I'm happy to set us off. No worries.
Okay, answer your own question.
I thought about it. I was like, nah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do me. Let me go Kyle and then Danny. So that way,
That works.
Cool. So let's start from the bottom. Bottom of this division, finishing 13th in the division with a 1-5 divisional record and a 7-10. That's they play 17 games, right?
Correct.
So it'd be 6-11 or 7-10. Yeah.
7-10. Yeah. With a 7-10 record, 1-5 in the division, I have the Chicago Bears. Listen.
Okay.
I think Justin Fields is going to get better. I think they are going to double their win total from last year, which I believe was 3.
Yep.
But make no mistakes about it. This football team is not good. And I don't think they're going to get exponentially better in the course of a year. But I do think they're going to be in a position next year where a disgruntled wide receiver is going to find a way to get out. And the Bears, with their draft capital that I think they may have, is going to make a push. I'm talking about you, Stephon Diggs.
Okay. Again, he wants to go back to the North.
My money ballers team would like that because I have Fields and Diggs. So give me the stack. That would be exciting, to be honest.
Finishing 11th in the NFC with a divisional record of 4-2, but an overall record of 8-9. You guessed it, the Minnesota Vikings. Now, you say, how does a team with a 4-2 divisional record finish 8-9? Simple. They're the Minnesota Vikings. Go back and watch their games from last year. Half those games they won, they should have lost. And the games that they lost, they should have lost. So, do your math. Finishing 6th in the NFC. Yes, I have this division putting in 2 teams into the playoffs. So finishing 6th in the NFC with a wild card spot, divisional record of 3-3, overall record of 9-8. Yes, Detroit, I have y'all going back to the playoffs. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know you're not about to say what I think you about to say.
Oh yeah, I told y'all last week I had this division with 2 people in the playoffs.
You did.
Y'all thought I was finna leave out the true kings of the North? Oh yeah. Finishing 4th in the NFC with a divisional record of 4-2 and an overall record of 9-8. Yes, 9-8, winning the division over the Detroit Lions, whose divisional record was 3-3. That's how they did it. The true kings of the North, the Green Bay Packers. Oh yeah.
And to Bam's credit, they could get swept by the Lions this year and still win the division, to be fair. So
yep.
At least that won't be the reason they don't win the division. I'll say that.
Yep.
Now, so I don't actually have record predictions. I have touchdown projections. So Danny, I don't know if you want to go first so that I could kind of do a whole segment on the touchdowns. Or
okay, that's a good idea. So like D, no surprise. Not the same order as you, but close. The record rise, close. So for me, 8-9, 2-4 in the division. I have the Bears finishing in last place at 9-8, 3-3. The Minnesota Vikings. To your point, last year the games they won they should have lost, and the games they lost they should have lost. So Lady Luck will only visit you. She usually stops by once a year, or once every couple.
Yeah,
years.
She may come back and get a draws though. She may come back.
Yeah, nah, she's just gonna leave them there so they have a memory. 9-8, 4-2 in the division, just like you. They're my 7 seed. I have the Packers. And then I have the Detroit Lions at 10-7. They get one more win. 3-3 in the division. They have one extra win. I have the Lions winning the division.
Interesting. The
real king, the Motor City.
I just don't. Kyle, you can go. I'll save my Thoughts?
So so what I've done for fantasy football, I did this last year as well, is I try to project touchdowns, offensive touchdowns for every team in the league, split both passing and rushing, and also for individual players, part of the fantasy football analysis stuff we do with going for two, and I do with full press coverage. So with this, usually the way I go with players is I'm looking at Peter Howard came up with a stat that since 2011, essentially the average is 155 scrimmage yards every touchdown. So just looking at players' yards over their careers, what's the kind of touchdown expectations we should have for them over the course of a 17-game season? And then also looking at what these players have scored and finding out the difference, because there's some players that are just really good at scoring touchdowns. Other players are actually not good at scoring touchdowns at all. Deontay Johnson last year had 0 on like 100 catches almost. So I guess it wasn't quite 100 catches, but 80 something receptions, right? So, and to be fair, Deontay has not ever historically been a high touchdown scorer. So he's someone who's touched it, but I would still expect him to score more than 0, to be fair.
True.
Projected for 5, for instance. But anyway, so I have all the teams projected out. So not to say that whoever scores the most touchdowns are going to have the most wins and it's going to lead to the best records, but just to give context to how I view these offenses operating. So in terms of rank in the NFC, I believe it's 13th in the NFC with 36 offensive touchdowns. I have the Green Bay Packers as last in this division. And to me, this all comes down to Jordan Love. If Jordan Love exceeds my expectations, then he's good. This number will smash. I don't think he's going to score 36 on his own. But right now I have it's split with him scoring 22 touchdowns on 552 pass attempts. I gave him a 4% touchdown rate, which is actually a boost over his career average. I think his career average is 3.6. I did look up for the rookies, because like the rookies are super tough to project, or players like Jordan Love, like a Kenny Pickett, who haven't had a full rookie season worth of starts yet. Like, what do we kind of use for their numbers? But I looked at the average for first round rookies since 2011. Anyone who's played at least half a season, the average is basically 4% in terms of touchdown rate. The mean, I think, is like 3.6%. So anywhere in that range, I think, is reasonable. So maybe Jordan Love does much better than expected. But to me, like this type of, again, I'm at 22 touchdowns is where I view him as a reasonable expectation for his touchdown output. But that does put him, again, last in this division. Actually, I have the Lions third in the division.
Wow.
With 40 offensive touchdowns. I guess that would put them 11th in the whole conference. And then I have the Bears essentially 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th place, all with 41 touchdowns. And that includes the Bears. They're tied with the Rams, the Seahawks, the Giants. So in my mind, those would be the teams I think I would pick from for the wildcard teams. And I have the Vikings repeating the division with 43 offensive touchdowns.
Really?
To be fair, I think they've got the best quarterback right now in the division.
I agree. I agree. They do have the best quarterback in the division. I would say they have the lowest ceiling in terms from a team.
You don't like
in my opinion. I just think
the defense isn't very good.
Yeah, and I think
you can say the same thing for the Lions, though.
Yeah,
and frankly, the Bears. It's funny because I think the Packers have the worst offense in the division, but probably the best defense in the division.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Does that,
that means, in my opinion,
it's funny because the two Packers fans have them winning the division and finishing last, so they'll probably finish in the middle. And Danny's probably right; they'll finish second.
Yeah, because I think with their defense, their ceiling is probably the highest of the four teams in the division. Because simply put, if the offense comes halfway or 3/4 of a way to matching their defense, now you have a 8, 9, 10 win football team. Whereas, like, you look at the Vikings, if the defense catches up halfway to the offense, well, now you're talking about, instead of them coming back from 10 down pretty much every game, now they're coming down from like 7 every fourth quarter. I don't really see it being that much of a difference. I think but I will say, this is kind of a question for you, Kyle. You had the Bears in there, I believe, second in the division in terms of scoring touchdowns, and they were in that group with like the Rams, I think Seahawks, and
the Giants as well.
The Giants, who I all noticed were pretty like run first teams. Does that correlate into your touchdown, that these teams will probably lean on the run game a little bit more, which might lean to them being a little bit more successful?
True, because I do have the Bears with the most rushing touchdowns in the NFC North.
Mhm.
So in the division, I've got them 19 rushing touchdowns. Next is the Packers, actually, with 14.
Yeah.
Looking at the Giants, they've 22 passing, 19 rushing. So certainly up there on the higher mark.
Yeah.
Seahawks as well, only 15 rushing touchdowns. So they're a little
Yeah.
lower. I think part of the Seahawks specifically is I expect the passing volume to just skyrocket this year. I think
Really?
everything
Oh,
they've
with
done
Jackson.
move wise, drafting Jackson Smith and Jigba, drafting Zach Charbonnet early when, by all accounts, based on their college profiles, based on what Walker's done so far in the NFL, the one thing Charbonnet does better than Walker in theory is catch passes. So did they essentially draft a pass catching back? So they had a top 5 pick which they used on the cornerback from Illinois.
Mhm.
Name I can't remember right now. Witherspoon.
Mhm.
So all to say, they've made 3 serious investments in the passing game, 1 on the defense, but 2 on the offense. That tells me they're going to prioritize a high volume season for Geno Smith. I don't expect the Seahawks to be as run heavy, but for those other teams, I think that would apply. Yes.
Yeah.
Strong
So-
rushing touchdown totals could help boost these total
Yeah.
touchdown numbers.
Danny, what do you think is the biggest storyline coming out of the NFC North this season?
I have one more question for Kyle. Kyle, where do the Eagles rank on your list?
In total touchdowns,
Yes.
Gotta be
tied
third.
for the NFL lead with the Chiefs. I have both teams at 54. My
So-
prediction right now is both teams make it back to the Super Bowl, but I certainly think that path is easier for the Eagles. So
Oh yeah.
this might I don't know if you guys are ready to make your Super Bowl predictions yet, but if I had to
Ravens
pick a
versus
team right now to
Cowboys.
win the Super Bowl, I would say it's the Eagles.
I have the
Based
Ravens
on-
win the Super Bowl. Ravens and Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
And you know what? The Ravens are up there. They're tied with the Bengals. Those are the next 2 teams. The Eagles and Chiefs both at 54 offensive touchdowns, and then I have the Bengals and Ravens both at 51. So,
In my
that I think that AFC North division title might come down to the final week of the season. I think both of those teams will be strong contenders in the playoffs as well.
And for me, Super Bowl wise, I know no quarterback who has been and lost their first go around, they never make it back. But I have the Bengals and Eagles. Biggest storyline for me, it's Jordan Love. Who is he? Who is this man? And if he is
talk
what,
to me,
what he could potentially be, then
then
we'll have another conversation. And then the other one for me is, can Justin Fields live up to this hype that has been put on his shoulders the past 3 months? Because he went from, oh yeah, he's going to be good, then they get DJ Moore, and now he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. I think that is unrealistic. But
Well, I would go even further, Danny. Months ago, they were talking about, are the Bears going to just draft Bryce Young and replace Justin Fields? Like he was talking about going from getting replaced to winning an MVP suddenly. Like that's like a 6 month span. That's pretty wild.
you know how the media likes to do it.
Yeah, like that's insane. So I
hope
hope
say it right.
I hope Justin doesn't. I hope he I don't think he's going to reach expectations, but I hope he makes big enough of a leap that we're not. It's week 11. It's like, oh, should the Bears tank for Caleb Williams? Because we don't want to have that conversation. And Arizona's going to have the number 1 pick wrapped up by then anyway.
I think
they're not the team that's last on my touchdown totals, though.
Really?
Really? Who's the last one?
Tampa Bay.
Texans.
Tampa Bay. Okay.
And that is the reverse of what what Dee was mentioning with like the Giants and the Bears. I have last year the Buccaneers had 5 rushing touchdowns total
insane.
Whole season. I only have them projected, I think, for 7 this year, which is the fewest of any team. So, like that rushing touchdown total being so low is dragging their total to the lowest. But that might be a thing. Like in those key moments, they can't get those short yardage touchdowns. How many of those drives that I don't know if we expect too many long touchdown drives, how many of them end in field goals, not touchdowns, costs them a bunch of wins. So I can see Caleb Williams playing in Tampa next year.
Well, he's going to be in the NFC. Rodgers going to make that. There are no more good quarterbacks to the AFC. This Caleb's going to NFC. That's right, Hendrick.
Well, it's funny because to be fair, like most of the teams I have at the bottom of my touchdown list are NFC teams.
Yeah, it's always going to be disgusting.
And I think, like, other than this, all the AFC teams that I have at the lowest, the Steelers, the Colts, the Texans, they still have rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah,
like on contracts right now. The Patriots are down there. Really, it'd be the Titans, the next team in terms of AFC teams without they've got a second and a third round quarterbacks invested in, as well as Tannehill.
I think the biggest storyline will be how Justin Jefferson is going to have a record-breaking season.
Talk to me.
I don't know if it will be via catches. I don't know if it will be via receiving yards. I don't know if it will be via receiving touchdowns. But we are going to finish this season. I think Justin Jefferson is going to set a new NFL record or come very close like Cooper Kupp did a few years ago. And then I think this summer he is going to get a contract that we have never seen before for an NFL wide receiver.
He might get it this week. They're talking about giving him a contract extension. Like, they're working on it right now. So we might see it before kickoff next Thursday.
Because they're expecting a 2,000-yard season or 160 catch season, or both probably. I mean, if with Jefferson, if he's going to get 2,000 yards, it's probably on a huge volume, like 160 catches. So he might break both of those records. The
shout out to KJ Osborne.
That one's
put you in my lineup. I'm gonna put KJ Osborne in my lineup. I'll tell you what. Just bank on it. Silent.
Yeah, no, I think for sure deeper starting rosters. I play in leagues where we start 13 players, so yeah, you can throw in a KJ Osborne in lineups for sure. I didn't give my storyline.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna have fun with this one. I call it the Detroit disappointment because
here we go.
I mean, Danny, you
come
picked
to the front,
Lions to win the division. It seems like a lot of people, a lot of odds, a lot of money is being put on the Lions to win the division, but just a couple of stats to just cool some people down here, because this is the Lions, an organization that is just reeked of incompetence further than there've been some years with the Packers. It's like, oh my god, this team is awful. The Vikings can just implode at any moment. The Bears have been just trash for so many years, but like none of them come close to the sheer level of incompetence that the Detroit Lions have had for the majority of their history as a franchise. And it's so much fun. This one's hilarious. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, as you noticed, isn't in this episode tonight, although we have talked about them already, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won the Lions division more recently than the Lions themselves. Because when the Texans came in and there were 32 teams, that's when divisions were realigned to 4 divisions per conference. There used to just be 3. And the Buccaneers and Lions were both in the NFC Central, and the Buccaneers won that division in 1999. The last time the Lions won the NFC Central was 1991, I think. Like Barry Sanders' rookie season or his second year. So a team that the Lions haven't even been in a division with in 20 years has won their division more recently than themselves have.
That's a bomb.
And Danny, you told me that team's going to win the division next year?
Yep.
Well, hey, not just Danny. A lot of people are saying it, so let's not all put this on Danny. There's so many people putting a lot of.
I think people just saw the Lions beat the Packers, and they saw Aaron Rodgers walk off, and they were just like, "Oh, this is the team to beat." And
there's something poetic about it.
I just want to remind people that there is a reason why both teams came into that game with one game away from being in the playoffs.
I think the Lions offense.
One had an old. I'm not gonna say old man quarterback. One had a quarterback who was clearly ready to find out what the next stage of his career was like, and the other one has a quarterback that's in the next phase of his career. So you tell me.
Oh, and just to add to Bam's point, not only have it's been 30 years with since their playoff win. That's their only playoff win in the last 65 years.
That's insane.
So the Detroit Lions haven't won a playoff game since Jim Crow or before.
Well, here's my favorite thing to say about this. So the last time
Martin had a dream last time Detroit was winning playoff games. Malcolm was kicking it. Malcolm was out here.
Well, it's funny because I was going to go with when the Lions last won an NFL championship, and they actually won something. 1957. Jailhouse Rock by Elvis Presley was the #1 song in December of 1957.
Oh man, J. Edgar Hoover might have still been alive.
Yo, Hendrix is pissed at that. Hendrix hates that stat.
Stop. Bit of a Lions fan, I suppose. Sorry, Hendrix, and also sorry, Bam. But yeah,
Hendrix.
You know what? And they could erase all this history. Maybe this is the year. Maybe, and I guess this is gonna get to, now that we're done storylines. The next one was I guess not division MVP yet. Sorry, my bad.
No, we are division MVP.
Just
okay. Well, all to say, I kind of think whichever team wins the division, that team's wide receiver. Because if Jefferson, obviously, right? I think that would be if the Vikings win the division, I think we'd all say Jefferson is. No wide receivers really ever win the NFL MVP. One has, but we'll maybe get to that later. But yeah, Jefferson might actually be able to do that because he's that good. So that seems like an obvious case. But honestly, if the Lions offense could be as explosive as it was last year and Amon-Ra St. Brown is just dominating, maybe Jared Goff deserves credit with that division MVP, but if the Lions win the division, I think Amon-Ra certainly could make a case for that. And if DJ Moore comes to the Bears and completely transforms that passing offense, doesn't he deserve a ton of credit too? Like, I think it'll go to Justin Fields because of what he'll do on the ground naturally, as well as increase as a passer. But I think a ton of that credit should go to DJ Moore, potentially deservingly, if he's the one that's able to unlock Fields, give him that target that gets open all the time, allow him to quickly make throws and be decisive, which holding on to the ball too long, I think, has been his biggest weakness more than anything, more than his passing ability. It's just it's taking too long to have the plays develop and to have him throw receivers open. He doesn't need to throw DJ Moore open. That dude will just get open at will. And if Jordan Love really does break out this year, I wonder how big of a season Christian Watson has. Because he just become this next dominant wide receiver in the NFL. So I could see all four of those wide receivers.
I have a different proposition for you. I think if Jordan Love is successful this year, do we look at the combination duo of Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson as maybe the next, the Green Bay version of the wide receiver trio or duo that they have in Cincinnati?
Well, I was going to say, it's not
now we getting out of hand.
I was going to. Well, another out of hand compliment or comparison would be, with the rookie Jaden Reed. Does this trio of Watson, Doubs, Reed become the new Jordy, Cobb, and Adams?
Oh, yes. Talk to me. I'm moist.
Yeah, think. Whoa.
I'm moist. I remember those days. Listen.
Go Pack, go.
Hendricks, please start barking to get this man. Stop talking about how moist he is. Please start barking again, because
Packers fans, we're probably the worst, fam. You're right.
I know.
Kyle, I think there are some. I've met some real terrible Packers fans. I'm just like, yo, you're kind of an entitled motherfucker.
Yes, y'all are.
I just think it's been a blessing to see such great quarterback play and just such community and energy around the football team. I love it.
You know who says stuff like that? Toxic fan bases, because I said it about being around Eagles fans. Toxic fan bases.
I actually want to rag on as fans.
Do it.
Toronto fans. They're some of the worst fans. And, a lot of Toronto people think that Toronto equals Ontario or Toronto equals Canada, but it doesn't. But yeah, Toronto fans are some of the worst. And I think back to the finals when KD ruptured his Achilles, they was cheering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually.
That's why y'all in poverty now.
I was actually happy as huge Raptors fan. Love that they won the championship. I'm kind of happy they didn't win the title that night because it didn't felt like the fans deserved it. And honestly, I think the Raptors players kind of felt bad too because they I felt like that kind of sucked their energy out of it because they played awful the rest of that game. The Warriors won the rest of the game after the KD injury. I think a lot of it was just because
KD wanted them. He wanted the OG. That's like a player. I think a lot of the players, grew up watching, idolizing, see him.
And I think that distracted them more than it distracted the Warriors. To be honest,
players are friends, yo. A lot of these players are friends.
For sure.
And they're
Canadians are terrible people. There are some Canadians that are terrible people. I will admit that. And Toronto fans are pretty bad, and like Leafs fans are pretty bad too. They haven't won in a while, so I get it. But
talk to him, Kyle. Talk heavy to him. Danny, what were you about to say?
I was about to say one fan base I think we all can get behind that are terrible people are Bay Area fans. Bay Area fans are the fans that people think Eagles fans are because apparently at an In-N-Out Burger, I believe a Niners fan and a Raiders fan got into an altercation and someone was stabbed. So, and they were fighting.
No, don't try to deflect.
This would include Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
Fans are terrible.
Eagles fans don't stab people. We don't stab people.
Y'all just want to punch the hell and beat the fuck out of each other.
I mean, you're not going to the hospital for getting punched in the face.
Let me tell you something. Cowboys fans worst. Eagles fans strong second. Washington fans maybe like fourth. Giants fans probably about sixth.
Here's the thing though. Washington fans are up there. Are angry because of what they have to consume as fans. I'd be angry too.
Patriots fans confuse me because they're always angry about everything, even when they're like finding success. They're just angry about something, and I just be confused.
They live in Boston. Come on, man. Who out here signed up to live in Boston?
Speaking of terrible fans, y'all let me know as we look ahead to week 1 in the NFL. I'm gonna name some matchups. Y'all let me know who y'all think is gonna win. All right. Bills versus Jets, Monday night opener, 9/11 in New York. Aaron Rodgers' debut. Josh Allen comes to town. Who y'all got?
Bills.
Bills.
Aaron.
I think if the Jets beat the Bills, it'll be in Buffalo later in the season when the Jets have got time to gel. I think week 1, that's a tough matchup. And I think the Bills are happy to at least get one Jets game out of the way early. I kind of, honestly, D, as the Packers, don't you love having to face Fields week 1? Don't give them the time for him and DJ Moore gel. Get them right away week 1. I think that's the best time to beat them. So,
Listen, I agree, Kyle, wholeheartedly. Listen, Aaron, tough they got you playing on 9/11. Sorry that they got you playing the Bills on 9/11. It's gonna be a tough night at the office for you, brother. I got the Bills 38-14.
And we'll do a preview on the Going for Two live show. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I don't think that game is going to be close. I think it's going to be a lot of hype. I think they're going to come out one good drive, and then the Bills are going to come out, and then it's good. I think that game can get ugly fast.
But yes, and Kyle will let you know on the pregame show beforehand if you should even pay attention.
Let me know. Next, this one, when I saw it on the opening week's schedule, I thought this is an interesting NFC AFC matchup. San Francisco 49ers, Pittsburgh Steelers in the Steel City.
Steelers, Brock Purdy. Whew! Congratulations, you're back. Go face TJ Watt. God bless, my friend.
Thing is, I don't think Kenny Pickett's faring any better against Nick
Bosa. So Nick Bosa hasn't been in camp. Nick Bosa hasn't been in camp. Like, he still needs to knock the rust off, in my opinion. And that might take a couple of games. TJ Watt ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know if that Steelers O-line keeps the rust on him very long.
Listen, I'm going to be honest. I know this is going to be week 1, but I could see some of the best defensive play all season coming from this game because a total of about 14 points is going to be scored.
This will be like the 49ers week 1 last year against the Bears, all defense. And there was
all defense. Listen, I flipped a coin on this one. Mike Tomlin, I ain't gonna go against you. I got the Steelers winning.
Yeah.
All right.
13-6.
That would be a fun result, to be fair. I would love to see the 49ers lose to Kenny Pickett. That would be fun.
All right. A good old-fashioned week 1 opener. Dallas Cowboys traveling to New York City to face the New York Giants Sunday Night Football.
It would be the most Dallas thing to lose this game. But I've been saying this over and over. The Giants are a better team, but they will win fewer games. I think Dallas wins this game.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could see the Giants being that team that, like the Vikings, everyone's expecting to kind of come back down to earth. Yeah, I think unfortunately the Giants will probably go 2-4 in the division just because they'll sweep the Commanders, but I think they'll lose both games to the Cowboys and certainly probably both games to the Eagles. 3 games if they have to play them in the playoffs again.
Talk to me.
What an ugly trio of games that was for the Giants versus the Eagles. I feel like they don't like that matchup. Listen, I think this is going to be a typical Giants-Cowboys game, which means this game is going to be close for about 2.5 quarters. Cowboys are going to find a way to pull away late. Dak's going to make a good drive in the 4th, get them up by 10. Giants will kick a field goal, about 5 minutes left to go. Cowboys will do the first down thing. I think we got like a 27-24 type game, 27-20 type game. Like it's week 1. The Cowboys are on the road, which I think is going to play a big point. I mean, a big part in this. I think the energy in New York is going to be buzzing, especially with the Giants on Sunday night, Jets on Monday night. But I don't think it matters. I think both New York teams lose at home. So New Yorkers, don't do anything around that 9/11 time. That might be crazy. All right. Season opener out in KC. Defending, reigning Super Bowl champions, reigning MVP, reigning Super Bowl MVP, Patrick Mahomes. He got his man, T. Kelsey, back. They got the defense rolling. Andy Reid's there with some donuts and some burgers and some hot dogs.
Just call him fat. Go ahead.
Nah, I ain't calling him that.
I was gonna say I want all those things too, though.
Yeah.
Just call Andy fat.
Same. They got the aforementioned Detroit Lions coming to town next Thursday. Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, new running back David Montgomery in the backfield,
and Jahmyr Gibbs.
How do we think this plays out for the Lions?
Is anybody picking the Lions? Anyone willing to put their
Man, I'm
stake?
starting every Chiefs player in every league. Like that Lions defense is so awful. Like the Chiefs might just okay, let's start on a good note and let's put up 50 the first week just to get the season rolling. We'll be the highest scoring team in the league for a while. And like that one game will just let us like coast through the rest of it. Let's just pour it on the Lions. Andy Reid's had months to plan for this game.
Yeah.
I think
the Lions offense is good enough that they'll probably put up points, but I just don't see them ever getting stops ever.
Yeah, 34-50 feels good.
You know, it's funny. Last year, the Chiefs opened the season against the Cardinals in Arizona, I believe.
Yep.
And they went to Arizona and threw up about a 40 burger on them. I think it's going to be a part 2 of that. I think they're going to be at home. I think they're going to put up a lot of offense. Listen, I think this is going to be this is the Jared Goff Patrick Mahomes rematch.
Ooh, okay, that's true. We have been waiting for that.
Okay, that's what this is. This is the Jared.
That's Goff, crazy. Jared Goff doesn't have Sean McVay in the best offense on the planet in his arsenal. Dog, don't overthink this.
He does have Amon-Ra though.
Okay.
Don't overthink this.
Amon-Ra is gonna have a monster game that game just because.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I now have the Chiefs. Before I had the Chiefs winning 45-20. Now I have this being a 45-35 game.
Okay.
45-35. I don't listen. I watched Hard Knocks last year with the Detroit Lions. I really like that defensive coordinator. I think his name is Aaron Glenn. Brother, I hope you and this defense figure it out because I would hate for a black man to lose his job. And last NFL Week 1 matchup. This is an old AFC North rivalry, probably the best division in football next year. So, of course, they start the season off with a good old-fashioned Ohio matchup. The Cincinnati Bengals travel to Cleveland to take on Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Deshaun Watson's got a full offseason, got Amari Cooper. They added Elijah Moore. They're bringing back Nick Chubb. They're feeling good about their offense defensively. They got some guys. They just need a defense that can stop a runny nose, and then they might feel good about their team. And then the Bengals, they got Joe Cool. They got the best wide receiver trio in the league. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. Oh my goodness. They got Joe Mixon coming back. He ain't worried about
out on bail, fresh out of jail, California dreaming.
He ain't worried about them charges. They got Chris Evans backing them up, who they say has been impressive in camp. Listen, the Bengals, they're the only team that can look the Chiefs in the eyes and say, we can beat you.
Yeah,
we can beat you.
Holmes still has a losing record against Burrow in his career.
Yes, he does. Who y'all got winning? Bengals, Browns in Cleveland, Week 1.
Cal, you go first. I need to think about this.
It's crazy how good of a season the Bengals had last year. It's like we could totally see them repeating that and expect Joe Burrow threw 35 touchdowns. I actually projected that last year in my touchdown projections. I had him at 35 touchdowns, so I nailed that one completely. They were awful Week 1 against the Steelers. They came out super flat. Mm-hmm. The Super Bowl hangover seemed to be a thing. Burrow last year was dealing with the appendectomy. This year with the hamstring injury, I believe, or calf injury.
Yeah, calf.
So
calf.
I expect the Browns to be better this year. I think they'll be competitive. I actually have them as a wild card team based on the touchdown projections, of course. And so I think they'll probably sweep the Steelers or you have a good chance to do that. I think they'll get another division win somewhere. I think if the Bengals lose a division game to anyone but the Ravens, it's probably early. And so I think the Browns get the upset here, even though it's at home. But I imagine a lot of people are expecting Burrow. If without the calf injury, I don't know that I'd have the confidence to say it, but just how unsure, how much is it going to affect Burrow? We're not really sure of that. Yeah. So at the very least, for those people who are betting, the Browns as massive underdogs seems like a good bet. Whatever that spread ends up being, I think they'll at least be able to cover that, but I could see them winning outright.
For me, last year, Joe Burrow was sacked 41 times. In Week 1, they have to go against Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith. I think the nasty man still needs some time, some real game reps to knock the rust off. Kyle, I'm with you. I want to pick the Browns 20-17 or a real close game. Joe hasn't practiced since he hurt his leg in training camp. Like that has to account for something. But he's Joe Burrow. I'm going with the Bengals. He Joe Burrow.
Listen, I always think it's funny because you fans are fickle out here. One day you hate him, one day you love him. One day you're morally stepping with missed him around the big steppers, and another day y'all are not too much better than the Antichrist himself. Not talking to you or you, Kyle or Danny. I'm talking to the fans out here. So, Los, D-Mix, what does that have to do with the Bengals versus the Browns? Browns fans. On Sunday, September 10th, 2023, at probably around 4:35 p.m., you're going to have to go in the mirror, look at yourselves in the mirror, and ask yourselves how you feel about yourselves that you had to cheer the nasty man on when he came from behind week 1 to beat the Bengals.
Oh, okay.
24-17.
Okay.
And y'all are gonna have to look at yourselves and ask yourselves, is my football team winning better or worse than my moral compass?
Something you got to struggle with all season. But it doesn't matter because you can be the 4th team in your division.
Well, I would argue if you're paying for tickets and going to see them, win or lose, you're still supporting, so you might as well get the win and feel at least a little better about it, right?
Might as well. That was fun. Thank you guys for that. Listen.
Whoa, Bam. Hold up. We're not reading that. Nope.
Ayo, Bam.
Hey, yo.
It's true. The Texans almost always seem to be like losing earlier than they're having to come back from behind, because we've seen what happens if they get the huge lead. They just blow it. So.
Whoa.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That is still one of the wildest playoff games I've ever seen. In Arrowhead, Deshaun Watson goes up on Patrick Mahomes.
The moment where he's air guitaring, right?
The air guitar.
That is the moment everything changed for Deshaun Watson. Like, just in that moment, like air guitaring, and then the whole world collapsed around.
The whole world. All right. Ready to hit our quick hitter section. We're not going to start with fantasy. We're probably going to end with fantasy because I feel like that would be a good conversation. So I'm gonna throw out a few topics out here. Let's just discuss a little bit. Let's start with this one. You mentioned this one earlier. So over in Budapest, we have the World Championships. Noah Lyles, American sprinter. He's been cooking. Fun fact, everyone. My last high school track meet in my last high school race, I raced Noah Lyles outdoor 200. I've raced Noah Lyles before. He's only a couple years younger than me. So I raced him when I was like out the door as a senior in high school. I had already graduated. I think he was like a sophomore.
And he was running against seniors because he was that good.
Well, it was at an AAU meet. So it was like an AAU travel meet, and it was like the big national meet down in Orlando, Florida, where they had the NBA bubble. And we were running the rounds of the 200. I didn't race him up until we had made the finals, but I'd been keeping up. I'd been watching him, and he was that boy fast. And I was like, at the time, I felt good. I said, all right, he quick. Wait till tomorrow. I got something for him. Oh, brother. Nah, he smoked my boots off. I believe I came in second or third, but he ran a fast time, and he was only a sophomore in high school. He is now the American record holder of the 200-meter dash and a world champion in the 100 and 200. He also was a part of the winning 4x100-meter team. I say all that to say, on his podium, he had a press conference. He was spinning a podcast, basically. He basically said he didn't like how the NBA called themselves world champions when they win the finals because they're just playing against other American franchises. They shouldn't be deemed as world champions because he feels like in track and field, he's racing other athletes from that are representing their countries. Thoughts?
Cal, you go first.
I've never heard of Noah Lyles until this moment. I'm usually not like, an American athlete out, whatever, but now I love Noah Lyles for saying that, because that's true. That's always bugged me about the NBA does that. The NFL is awful for that because they barely have anyone that's not American playing in that league. At least with the NBA, I can kind of understand, like, this is like the best collection of global players in this sport that the whole globe plays is there. So like the NBA maybe is
and
more
that was,
about
to your
the
point,
NFL
that was
saying it.
Durant's
Oh my
point.
God, they don't even like. There's a different versions of their sport just in North America alone, like Canadian football, for instance. enough different rules to say it's a different sport. So it's wild. Baseball calling it the World Series. Like there's one team outside of the States in that. Like, and the Blue Jays might not even make the playoffs this year. Who knows? Even though they have.
And some would also say that America is not the best baseball country in the world. Some would say that's the Japanese.
They just did. I mean, we know that the world champions are currently the Japanese team in the World Baseball Classic, right? That's a legit World Series world champion. I love hockey. I love the NHL. They're the only ones who don't say it's Stanley Cup champion. They don't ever go by world champion. It's always Stanley Cup champion, NHL champion. They're the only ones that actually keep it in perspective well. And the Stanley Cup is actually the best trophy in sports too. So that's wild. Yeah, that's always bothered me about the other sports. But.
Danny, what do you think about Bam's comment that Noah Lyles is bitter that nobody cares about Olympians?
There might be some truth that. I know this is getting blown out of proportion. He just had some hate in his heart. That's all. Like he had that one in the draft. He had some hate in his heart. He just had to get that hate out. Like that's how how I feel about Notre Dame. That's how he feels about the NBA calling themselves world champions. Like he just had some hate in his heart. I ain't mad at him. Like if that's what's on his spirit, and you just win,
you just gotta let that hate go. Let it flow.
Something gotta let the hate go. Let it out. That's fine. Just let the hate go.
Noah Lyles, to Kyle's point, I understood what you were saying. The problem is not the message, but the messenger. And listen, Noah Lyles is technically correct, but I would say the NBA, in terms of all the American leagues, has the biggest argument to say that their champion is a world champion because one, as Kyle mentioned earlier, the NBA is deemed as the best collection of global basketball players in the world. Two, America being probably globally known as the best country in terms of basketball.
They have the results. You can't even argue it.
So historically, America has been known as the best country in basketball. So when you put that in the world's best basketball country, they have the best basketball league with the collection of best basketball players from not only its own country but other players in other countries. It's very, very you see why players like Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, other players come out and just look at him like, yo, what the fuck is this dude talking about? Because when you put it like that, it's tough. And there's only 15, 16 guys that make an NBA roster. So of all the millions, hundreds and thousands and millions of basketball players in the world, there is a small collection of them that play in the NBA. And that is why they look at themselves as world champions. I understand. I'm not going to say he's right. I'm not going to say he's wrong. I'm saying I'm a neutral party in this. Where I disagree, Aaron Gordon, you cannot beat him in the 200-meter dash. You had to have been drunk when you commented that.
I saw
that.
Oh.
You were definitely drunk or high because I've seen a few of your interviews and you was definitely high at a few of them. Next, James Harden said that Daryl Morey, the reason why he's a liar is because that Daryl Morey didn't bring in more free agents like he promised. So, Kyle, for some background, James Harden was in China, was doing some, they go to China to do little hooping camps or whatever. He comes out to this crowd and says Daryl Morey is a liar. He will never be a part of this organization again. He later, when the NBA does an investigation of it, because they want to know, what are you talking about? He lied about. James Harden says he promised to bring in more free agents and he didn't. And the NBA has to take his word for it. So they're just looking at it like, so you came out on the record and said you'll never play for Daryl Morey again because he didn't get free agents like you said. And everyone's just like, okay, James Harden.
So he was fined $100,000.
He was fined $100,000. Jokes only. What did Daryl Morey really do?
I can't say it. I can't.
I thought it was just
Daryl Morey. That was James Harden's favorite girl at his favorite spot, and you went in there and offered her a Supermax. What is wrong with you? You sicko. Yeah, James Harden ain't coming back. You in a Philadelphia strip club at that, and you went in there and offered that girl that type of money? You damn right James Harden ain't coming back. You ain't gonna play with. Listen, hey, and you supposed to be his partner too. You came on his little honey. Nah, he can't trust you.
Does anyone watch Winning Time on HBO?
What do you about to say about Magic Johnson?
I'm just saying, like the Morey Harden relationship feels a lot like the Bus Magic relationship. If you get if you understand, like they're too close.
Elaborate more.
You can't be friends with your boss. You can't be that kind of friendly with your boss. Because when the boss is the boss and you get upset at the boss, like that's what's happening on Winning Time right now. For those of you who are watching, we're getting to the point where Bus is standing up to Magic, and you can tell Magic feeling some kind of way about it. Like, again, for those of you who watch Winning Time, I don't want to spoil this week's episode, but this is what the same kind of thing. When the boss has to be the boss and throws your friendship out the window, you feel some kind of way.
Wait, do people not know the Lakers won championships in the 80s? Oh my God.
Winning Time is my shit. My wife and I love Winning Time. Listen, it is one of the best shows on TV. I love it.
There's a reason why the Los Angeles Lakers is the best brand in basketball. Listen, we got a few college football games. Kyle, I know this is not your bag, so
take over, guys.
But we do have a bag for you after this.
We do. Danny, we got some games. I'm gonna run through them. You let me know if you're excited for it, yay, or if you think it's gonna be a blowout. All right.
Okay.
So we got Colorado versus TCU. Excited?
I'm only excited because it's Deion's first game. I want to see how Deion does against a ranked team who just got out of the national championship. Even though that TCU roster has been gutted, Duggan's gone, Quentin's gone. Like that roster is turned over. They're still 15th in the country. They still have a lot of talent. Big 12. I just want to see what Deion's first test against a real D1 school.
I think I'm excited for this game. I think I'm excited for a few reasons. One, I read somewhere that Deion got 2 of his toes cut off, so he could.
How many toes does he have? I feel like he get a toe cut off every other month.
So he could be there at a Jackson State game. So I'm excited. I'm excited because I see the dedication that my man Deion Sanders has to
and
football.
Get healthy, Deion.
I'm also excited because you saw me on the big TCU bandwagon last year as they went along. Yeah. Curious to see their national championship hangover. How do you build your program's pride back after getting smushed like that in a national championship game?
Ask Kawhi.
And
it's almost like they shouldn't have been the 3 seed. They should have been the 4 seed.
Yeah. Ask Kawhi how's it feel to come back after getting your ass put by the SEC. They ain't been back since.
It's true. And I'm also curious to see how, considering this is going to be a future Big 12 matchup, how does Colorado kind of fare against a real Big 12 juggernaut? LSU versus FSU. What you thinking about?
Yup. Sign me up. Let's get Brian Kelly the fuck out of here week 1. Get him out of here. Sign me up.
I'm on the opposite end of that. I want Brian Kelly back with the full Baton Rouge accent. I need all the gumbo and all the accent because Florida State, get them the fuck out of here. Shout out to my Hokies. This is an interesting one. Boise State versus Washington.
Do not care. I know this is Chris Peterson. Is Chris Peterson still at Washington?
I don't think so.
I think he is. Is he?
I don't think so. I actually think they let him go not too long ago, or he retired.
I gotta look this up. I don't care. I really don't care.
Do you care about
research tonight?
Yeah, bam. He's too busy talking about Twinkies. In the meantime, I'll talk about one I am excited about. North Carolina versus South Carolina. Someone who has a good number of friends from both North Carolina and South Carolina and been to both schools. This is a big rivalry. I'm curious to see if Beamer Ball in South Carolina can live on, or if Mac is going to put out another North Carolina team with a really good offense and a bad defense, but they got a Heisman potential in Drake May. So curious to see what it looks like against a SEC team that I think a lot of people are undervaluing. I think South Carolina is going to be better than a lot of people think.
Well, you think Spencer Rattler finally will live up to the hype 2 years later?
Might take a little bit of time.
And Chris Peterson stepped down in 2019. He been gone.
I told you.
Yeah, it's Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Kalen DeBoer, is that a brother?
So we have.
I have a name. I don't have a picture. For some reason I see pictures of Ron Rivera. But
last matchup, Danny. It is
which I guess that makes sense. He is the
last matchup we have. It's an interconference matchup that we had last year, actually. Rematch of Florida versus Utah. This is very interesting because these teams, Florida came alive during last season, and Utah kind of caught win their back half of their last season on the way to winning the Pac-12 championship. You excited for this one?
I am. This is the game last year. Anthony Richardson kind of put his name on the map to the national stage. This was the game. Afterwards, people were like, "Huh, maybe there's something there with Anthony Richardson on a national stage." I know there were some people who were talking about Anthony Richardson before the college football season, but it was the Utah game where America was like, "Huh, who's that guy?" I am excited for this game. Utah seems to be the only team in the Big 12 that can actually challenge USC seriously. I think they beat USC twice last year, right? They beat them in Utah. Then I think they beat. No, they didn't beat them in the. They did beat them in the Pac-12 championship, right? And then Utah went to the Rose Bowl. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And USC lost to Tulane in the Cotton Bowl, which is why Tulane should be higher than 18. Anyway, or I'm sorry, 24. Yeah, I'm excited for that game.
I think it's going to be one hell of a game. I'm curious to see how both programs kind of bounce back after the culmination of where their seasons ended and the players that they lost last year. So excited to see it. And I think it's always good when we have interconference matchups. Speaking of which, ACC, I don't know what the hell y'all doing. Y'all either going to add Cal, Stanford, and SMU, or y'all going to kick them to the curb and let them go somewhere else.
No, don't do that.
All right, it's that time, Kyle. We're ready to talk a little fantasy.
Hold on, wait. Cal has to talk about the CFL Labor Day games first.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah, and it's funny because Labor Day games, they kick off it's the last CFL games before the NFL season starts. That's always kind of fun.
So we're right there. We're leading into it already.
And the Labor Day games are always huge for the CFL. It's usually their provincial rivalries, and they'll usually do the three teams or the three games involved in those rivalries. They'll usually do back to back, so they all play each other this week, and then those same teams will do a home and home next weekend as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's always kind of just built into the schedule that those things will happen, and specifically between some teams, it's always tradition. But yeah, it's, I guess, a bit of a Canadian geography lesson. So there are 9 teams in the CFL, which means there is a bye week every single week. That'd be a nightmare if there was actually fantasy teams. I do daily fantasy for CFL, but I couldn't imagine managed lineup teams with buys every single week would be pretty much a nightmare. So normally the Saturday game. So yeah, there'll be 1 game Saturday night, 1 on Sunday, and then 2 on Labor Day Monday. CFL season will essentially just exist on Fridays and Saturdays from here on out. But the Saturday game is usually between 2 of 3 teams, and this year it's the Ottawa Red Blacks, who are the nation. That's the capital of Canada, is Ottawa. Kind of centrally located, a little in Eastern time zone. Just kind of, I think Ottawa is pretty close to the American border. I think New York, part of New York State, northern New York State. So just to give context there. So they're not playing this Labor Day. That first game is between, it's usually the coastal matchup. It's one of 2 things. The Montreal Alouettes will almost always play in it. They'll either play against Ottawa because they're closely located for those, but it's also right now Montreal's the furthest most eastern team in the CFL. And the BC Lions, who play in Vancouver, who are right on the Pacific coast. So it's kind of a Saturday night will be the coast-to-coast battle between those two. Whereas everyone else, it's all very, a lot of close proximity between teams. The Sunday game is between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Winnipeg's the capital of Manitoba. Saskatchewan is its own province. The Roughriders play in Regina. Say that properly. Make sure Regina. I do have to announce that one. But anyway, those 2 provinces they share a border, so they're kind of.
I'm not mature enough for this. It's
funny because Keem Hicks, the Bears defensive lineman, he went to the University of Regina, and that came up on, I think it was a Monday night game, and that was making the rounds on Twitter. It's a rough ride with that.
Yo, you French. Is that part? That's in the French Canadian part of Canada?
It's not. It's funny because Saskatchewan is one of the least French provinces as far as I know. But yeah, because Regina, right? It does sound like it would be a French name. Because yeah, in French there's no confusion.
I'm just saying that's some kinky shit. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway, so that they always call that game the Banjo Bowl because it Saskatchewan is basically like Kansas in a sense. It's the prairie land. It's kind of westernish. And then you have again the 2 games Saturday, the 2 games Monday. The Labor Day Monday games are the 2 cities within the same province. So you have the Sunday game, which is 2 provinces basically fighting against each other, and then you have the 2 big provinces with multiple teams and the cities within them. Those rivalries. At 1:00 on Sunday, it'll be the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Toronto Argonauts, And like honestly, I'm pretty sure the Toronto Argonauts are the oldest professional. Well, I'm almost certain they're the oldest professional football team in existence. They've been in existence since the 1870s as a franchise continuation. It's crazy. Like they're older than almost all the baseball teams. I think there's a couple professional baseball teams that have been pretty old. But this rivalry is so. I think you all know where Toronto is located, biggest city in Canada. It's probably the one city most Americans know of Canada. Hamilton's super close to Toronto.
Okay.
They call it the QEW matchup, the Queen Elizabeth Way Highway. I think if you were to drive from one stadium to the other, I don't think it's an hour. It's
okay,
maybe an hour at most. It's probably with a lot of traffic. If it's like actual normal traffic there, it's pretty busy, so it'll probably be over an hour. But it's super close. So that rivalry is natural. And then you have at 4:00 on Monday the Alberta matchup between the Calgary Stampeders and the Edmonton Elks. And Alberta is basically like. That's where like the Calgary Stampede is every year is in Calgary. It's like this is the Wild West literally for Canada. Like it would be essentially Canada's version of Texas, I would say, if we were to kind of make reference there. It's just east of the Rocky Mountains.
Let me welcome everybody to the Wild West.
But yeah, so Labor Day, it's super because this is for most teams like the halfway point of the season too. So like it's those playoff pushes need to start now. It's funny because the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they've got the best, or one of two teams the best record.
The
They're
Blue
9-2.
Yo, chill out.
Blue Bombers.
Blue Bombers. Okay.
Blue
it was
Bombers.
my internet connection. I was like, hey, ain't no way I heard that.
Yeah, no. They do play football, but they're the Blue Bombers.
I was getting ready to shut everything down.
Which is funny because the hockey team in Winnipeg is the Winnipeg Jets, so there is some reference.
Okay.
They're in the same area. But yeah, they're 9-2, and if they win against Saskatchewan, they actually clinch a playoff spot already, which is crazy because that's only halfway through the season. So this kind of shows how dominant they are. The Toronto Argonauts are doing super well this year. They had their first 6-0 start since like 1934 or something.
Good.
Chad Kelly.
Since the Lions?
It's funny because I think that's the Lions' first championship is like 33 or 34. And then nothing until
that was in the 30s, huh? So that was pre-racism.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, racism didn't exist then.
Yeah.
But I'll just say Chad Kelly. That's maybe a name you guys might recognize.
Yeah. Oh, Chad Kelly. He used to back up Patty, didn't he?
Wasn't he with the Broncos?
No, Chad Henne.
Yeah, Chad Henne.
I
think he's still
he's
playing Gabbard now.
I do remember Chad Kelly though.
Yeah, Old Miss quarterback. I think he was with the Broncos for a bit, but he's done remarkably well with the Argos this year. Likely an MOP candidate.
He's still playing football.
Yeah, he signed a contract with the Argos last season. He was the backup. They won a Grey Cup. He started the last game of the regular season, which was a meaningless game in terms of standings. They already clinched their spot. He actually had to come in the Grey Cup though and lead the game-winning drive. So like the moment didn't seem too big for him, and it didn't seem like a fluke because he's done incredible this year. They've lost one game. I think he's the favorite right now for the MOP, which they don't have the most valuable player. It's the most outstanding player, they say.
Okay.
The Broncos let Chad Kelly go for off the field issues, didn't he?
Yeah. I think there was a break and entering thing, public drunkenness, and there's a few, off the field stuff.
Breaking and entering.
Yeah, I thought he was intoxicated and went to someone's house that he wasn't supposed to. I thought that was the story.
He was drinking and put a ski mask on and said it's a stick up.
Help.
Anyway, so shout out to Chad Kelly because he's done pretty well this year for like doing as good as he has this season with one CFL start in his career before this season. Pretty incredible. So, and my team is the Hamilton Ticats, so hopefully he doesn't do too incredible and beat them because it hasn't gone so well for Hamilton. They're 4-6 right now.
Hamilton, hold it down. POP, hold it down. Shut him down. Chad Kelly.
Yeah, Chad Kelly documentary might be fun. I think I'd rather watch that than a Johnny Manziel documentary. Manziel's time in the CFL was fun. That was.
I want him to document that night and tell me. I want like the deadpan. When they talking to people, I want him to deadpan, look at the camera, and just be like, "And I put that ski mask on, and I told her to run that shit."
Oh gosh. Help.
Oh, that boy was in Mississippi and learned some things. He said he had to learn some.
He was there. Was Hugh Freeze still there when he was there? Hugh Freeze can
he
teach you a thing or two about some money. Hugh Freeze, the man to talk to.
Fantasy. Oh man, guys. So you guys want to start in Dynasty since we have Bam here.
Let's do it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Kyle here. So this is a special segment of our Fantasy Commissioner Talk. Kyle, as you all know, is in our All Money in Dynasty League. He is also in our All Money in Superflex League that is drafting next Wednesday.
Yes.
We'll talk about that league soon. I'm going to start by talking about the Las Vegas Horned Ducks. That is my team. I don't know if you guys saw the news earlier, but it was official that Jonathan Taylor is now on the PUP list, so he will miss the first 4 games of the season. I'm not going to lie. When I saw this news, I kind of looked at my phone and I didn't throw it, but I just kind of like tossed it up in the air and then caught it because I then went back and thought about the trade offers that I had, and I'm thinking about it, and I was like, man, maybe I should have taken one of those offers, but I still think there's a lot of value there. I think when healthy, he only has 3 years in the league, so he still has a lot of good football left to play. I don't know if it's going to be in Indianapolis this year. Who knows about next year? I still think he's a really good player, so I hope he figures it out. But until then, Samaje Perine, you are now RB2.
Well, I just noticed you picked up Zach Moss, so
and I picked up Zach Moss during not too long ago because I needed some sort of reassurance on Jonathan Taylor. I'm not going to lie to you, my running back room was a little weak, but my wide receiver room, if it turns out to be something, I could have a lot of gems.
Tyreek,
led by Tyreek, that's our veteran, but we got Romeo Doubs and George Pickens. Got a little Sky Moore in there, Michael Gallup, Paris Campbell, Van Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Rashid Shaheed, Alan Lazard, guys that are serviceable in a deeper league like we got. And I will also say that I think in this league, I may have the deepest tight end room.
Oh, have you seen my tight end room?
Talk to me, because I think one of your tight ends just got traded to the Eagles. He's not that good.
No. That's Alberto. I do not. I have Greg. I've always figured out.
I traded into you.
You got Greg Dulcich.
Yeah. My tight end room, Dalton Kincaid, Mike Gesicki, Dalton Schultz, Isaiah Likely, Darnell Washington. This tight end you over here.
Nah, that's tight end who? That's I didn't hear one. That's tight end who? A lot of guys, you're like, oh yeah, they're the starting tight end, but that's all. They're just a starting tight end. You don't know if they're gonna.
I got no depth. I got Hawkinson, I got Dawson Knox, and I might even cut Dawson Knox at some point.
Guys, let me tell you something. Mark Andrews, my starting tight end. I also drafted Sam Laporta and Luke Musgrave.
Hold the hell up. Now, how the hell you going to sit here and say tight end who and you just named 2 rookies? You made it sound like you had a murderer's row. Man, get out of my face.
I mean, to be fair, to be honest, Danny, I'd rather have his tight end room than yours just because he has Mark Andrews, right? Like it's.
Yeah, that's it. Like outside of
I traded way better than your A, and you got a bunch of B's and C's.
But you didn't even draft Laporta. Like you were smart and picked him up after the draft. That was a keen addition by you, Mr. Commish.
You saw that. I did.
I was thinking about it, and I would have done it if I hadn't traded for Hawk. I didn't want to carry 3 tight ends on this roster. It was already shallow enough. I didn't feel like dropping Dawson Knox. So
I picked, like, as soon as everyone got off of that draft, I immediately picked up Sam. I was like, nah, I see the play here. I don't know why y'all let him fly.
I remember the draft finish, and, like, I think you did it the next day. So that night, I thought about it. Do I do this? Like, I'm surprised he went through, but then I ultimately said, no, I want to just spend 2 roster spots on tight ends. And like I said, I didn't want to drop
let me tell you something.
Yet.
I have a plan that if those 2 turn into the TE1s on their team, there could be a period where I'm running a 3 tight end lineup in one of these weeks just to see.
It's like Darnell Washington just got dropped.
Yeah, of course. I bet he did. Look at him. You drafted him too.
Honest, if you have faith in enough of your front guys, the back end depth of tight end is probably unnecessary. So. But you're the champ, so who the hell are we to talk about?
I'm the commissioner who's looked at his roster. He ain't scaring nobody. I like my
That's what you said last year. That's what you said
I
last
had
year.
the worst team last year. I can't say anything.
Hey man,
My
Yeah, it's
team
alright.
probably would have fared better if Lamar stays healthy and Jonathan Taylor stays healthy.
You
There's a
you
reason
had
why
a
I
good
was like,
record early through the season. Yeah.
yeah, there's a reason why I was smoking early and then we just fizzled out. It's okay though, because this season is going to take a little bit more commission, a little bit more managing. But if I come back, if Jonathan Taylor comes back healthy, I have a deep team that I think I could plug and play. Listen, we could make a run. That's all I'm saying. We just got to make it to the dance. We can make a run. How are you guys feeling about where your rosters are sitting currently, and where you're thinking your ceiling could be for your team this season? If all, obviously we all want to win a championship, but let's just say you don't. Where are you looking at success and how you're judging it this year?
Playoffs. I got a lot of work to do. Still trying to figure out some things on my end, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, like I said, I was the worst team last year, and unfortunately, and because it's a bracket for the first overall pick, I didn't even get the first overall pick as the worst teams. It's not like I got to add Bijan or anything. JSN, I don't know it's going to necessarily help me too much this year, but hopefully the receivers I already had, because I know you spoke about it last year. Like, do you seem surprised at how awful my team was last year? Like, good players on paper, but yeah, just
You
hard
have
time getting wins together. So I think my points weren't great, but I think just again getting a guy like Hawkinson, I get at least a difference maker at tight end. Maybe that gives me an advantage against certain teams, whereas I didn't have that last year with Dawson Knox and Greg Dulcich, right? So I'm hoping that like that was I looked at my team and that was like the weakest link on my roster. I felt so at least gives me a bit of an edge. Like I've got a decent group of quarterbacks in a 1 QB league: Lawrence, Tua, Richardson, Geno Smith. Now it's all about just picking the matchups every week. And if I can do it successfully, that'll help. Might also not work though. So it's yeah, if I can make the playoffs, I would call that a success because
I like
in
it.
the playoffs anything can happen.
For me, I'm relying on a lot of rookies. Like this was a semi rebuild for me,
Already. Okay.
and I need Mike Evans to keep up the 1,000-yard seasons, but I doubt it. Like this is, if he does, I'll be very impressed. Other than that, we'll make do. We'll be all right.
Plus, I have Deion Jackson, who's my most rostered player in Dynasty right now. So
Okay.
there's your actual JT handcuff.
Love it. Love it. It's funny. I look at my team and I look at where how we played last year when healthy. And obviously we were a really good team. There's a point in time where I really thought this team had a roster that could win it all. Obviously we kind of fizzled out. Now with Jonathan Taylor and the injury history and some of the moves I've made, I think now I'm depending on a lot of receivers, looking for a lot of young receivers to take a step forward. Obviously, we just talked about my tight end room, if they can take a step forward. And then I got some flyers at the running back position that I drafted that I'm thinking maybe not this year, maybe like towards the end of this year, beginning of next year. These guys, Tajay Spears and Tank Bigsby, I think could be some players in this league, particularly Tank Bigsby. Obviously, it's behind ETN, but I think if Tank kind of comes in and establishes himself in that offense, I think Doug Peterson would definitely find ways to get him more involved. And then Tajay Spears, he's my successor to Derrick Henry whenever they decide to make that move. I think when the Titans decide they want to make that move with Derrick Henry, I'm probably going to get aggressive in trying to trade him. But curious to see, I think success for this team. Honestly, second round in the playoffs, I think this team has enough talent and they're well coached enough to make a second round run. And then, once you get to the second round, it's can you put the best team on out there to make that championship game?
In terms of rookies, I had. Sorry, were you done?
Yeah, I was done.
I didn't add a ton of rookies to my team this year, but I felt I added 3 really key guys. So, like I used again my natural second round pick, which would have been the 203, to get TJ Hawkinson. So I felt at that point the players I was thinking about drafting anyway, I would have thought about drafting at 203 because I did make this trade before the draft, but I ended up getting Anthony Richardson at 210, which I thought was great value, and then Roshan Johnson at like I think 303. So I felt like I wanted to get one of the top 2 running backs. I wanted Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs. They obviously went 1 and 2. And so sitting at that 3 spot, again, my team was so bad I couldn't even make it to the finals of the bracket to get not even a chance to play for the 101. But yeah, getting Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think, is a good consolation prize. If you couldn't get either of the top 2 running backs, I'll at least give me a share of that talented rookie. Not expecting too much from him. I'm not putting him in a spot where I feel like I have to play him at all during his rookie season. But this is like a next year thing, as guys like Mike Williams get older. Maybe I move on from him, or T. Higgins, or Drake London, which again, I know Danny really wants him, but the truth is, for London, I'd want a young receiver back like a Devontae Smith, and I get why you wouldn't want to sacrifice, like, you like London, but not enough to give up Devontae Smith for him.
Yeah, Devontae is the cornerstone of this franchise, and Josh Allen.
No, for sure. So I get that, but yeah, those are the types of assets I would look for Drake London. But let's say I trade away a Mike Williams or T. Higgins. At some point, I might need JSN to start. But I'm hoping to stretch that out to more towards next year and hope I can compete without him this year. I mean, if he comes out and smashes and he helps me compete this year, we'll see. Maybe I'll be the worst team again. Who knows?
Bam, I wanna know, does a 3rd round pick get me Alvin Kamara?
In a single QB league, I would doubt that.
You can talk to Bam after I talk to Bam, because I just sent Bam a trade proposal
For Alvin Kamara?
No.
Okay. Let's shift over to our Superflex League. I'm really curious to hear you guys' thoughts as we head into our draft next Wednesday. So unlike our Dynasty League, this is, at least for this year, maybe next year. This year for sure, next year maybe. This year for sure, next year for sure. We'll see it in year 3. It's going to be redraft. So Kyle, next Wednesday you'll be drafting in at 110. And Danny, you will be drafting at, I believe, 108.
It's either 7 or 8.
108. Yeah, 108. I, of course, will be drafting at 112. 12
I'm
team
perfectly
league.
in the middle of both of you. You're 8, you're 12, I'm a 10.
Yeah.
Kind of like on screen.
Perfect.
This is 12 team PPR Superflex League. Man, I mean, where do you guys thinking? Kyle, drafting at 8, who do you see being there? And if you do, who do you see being there, and how do you think that will affect how you maybe? Who do you see being there? Let's just
well, and yeah, being a 10, I kind of predict what the second round is going to be too. So I've already queued out like 15 or 16 players. So I kind of have an idea what I'm going to do in the first 2 rounds. After that, I'm just going to let the draft board fall as it does, and I'll react to that as it happens. But I think I can at least telegraph, like, okay, among these 15 players, I can pick from that and know that I'll be able to get 2 of the guys in this range. So knowing it's super flex, usually tend to be aggressive on quarterbacks. And I guess I'm confident enough there'll be enough quarterbacks here to say this, but I'm at least taking one with those first 2 picks, potentially both picks. But yeah, I'm not leaving the first 2 rounds without a quarterback. That's for sure. I at least want to get one of those top 12, top 15 guys. So, which I think, at first when I got the picks, like, 110, that gets me out of the range of like the elite quarterbacks. Then I thought, okay, can I get an elite non-quarterback potentially? Or if the rest of you pick them, maybe a quarterback I really like ends up falling to 110. So I've got 10 guys marked down. Most of them are quarterbacks, but there's a couple that aren't. And I know I'm going to at least get one of those 10 players. So I know what, like, in my mind, what the worst case scenario is. And it's still a pretty good scenario, I think. So
yeah. Danny, what about you?
I'm at 8, and every mock draft I do, I either grab the last elite quarterback, or that elite quarterback just misses me at 1-7. So I'm just prepping for both. Like Kyle, like, first 2 rounds, got to get somebody. I'm confident if I don't get one of the top guys, I'm going to get the top guy in that second tier, which I'm okay with. Same with you, Kyle.
Can I ask you, who is the guy that like, once he goes, that is the last top tier quarterback? Like, who's that guy?
For my draft strategy.
Well, it's not going to matter, because we know who the elites are: Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar,
Hurts, and Herbert.
That's the thing, that might be the line right there. I was going to say, once you get past those top 6, the QB 7 to QB 15 might not have much.
So like so you're thinking basically, it sounds
like for me, Herbert's the line. Yeah, I'm with Cal.
So
Herbert,
once Herbert's gone, now you're looking at, okay, well, the Daniel Jones and the Trevor Lawrences of the world.
I want to target those top 6 in every draft, whether it's super flex or redraft or super flex or single QB. The advantage in single QB is you don't have to spend a first round pick to get one of those top 6.
That's true.
The problem in super flex is if you're outside the top, like even like Danny's not guaranteed to get one of them at 8, let alone you or I, Danny, at 10 or 12, right? So that's just the disadvantage there. But like that, essentially that's the range you want to attack a quarterback. I think Herbert and Burrow seem to be going at enough in one QB leagues, enough of a discount over Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts that they might come, even if they don't replicate those top 3 production, they'll come close enough that the value getting in the draft makes it worth it. So,
and for me, it's if quarterbacks go 1 through 7, that means Jetta, Chase, like they're like Kyle said, there are some very elite non-quarterbacks, and then on the because at 8, if it's 12, I'm coming right back. Like you said, Cal, like one of those guys, like Trevor, Daniel, like one of those guys will be there. And then, all right, oh no, I got Jetta and Trevor Lawrence. What a terrible spot to be in.
Listen, I'm picking at 12. The way I look at it, when I got my draft order, I knew Mahomes, the top tier ones were out of the window. So I immediately fixed my mind on, all right, we have tier 2, and then take off maybe 1 or 2 of the elite non-quarterbacks that'll probably be gone in this range. And that's who I'm working with at 12 and 13.
Yeah.
And every mock draft that I've done, I've been in a peculiar situation where a couple names keep being on the board, and I keep taking them because I look at the value and those 2, and then I look at some of the other, like look at the other fields in terms of positions, and I'm like, I think there's value here with this stack right here, and finding this stack that potentially tried to force the issue elsewhere. And I think at 12 and 13, and then when it comes around for the 3rd and 4th round, I'm just going to have to really game plan to take best player available that kind of makes sense. But those first 2, I'm just banking on, if they're there, I want to get that stack, secure that stack, and build the team from there.
You talking the same stack I drafted in the Dynasty League last year?
I think who was that? Because you might have traded them.
Yeah, because so CeeDee Lamb was my first pick in the Dynasty League.
CeeDee and Dak. Yeah. Listen, I mean, I did do like 2 mocks that had me taking Dak and then CeeDee. It would I'm not against it. I'm not against it. I think about the Cowboys offense, I'm curious to see how they're playing in this new system now that Kellen Moore's gone, but I wasn't upset about it.
Would you consider going 2 QBs at all? Just hammering the position there and worrying about everything else after?
Who says that wasn't the stack I was originally talking about?
Okay, yeah, I'm wondering. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Talking in code.
Well, to be fair, like thinking from D's perspective, like I kind of know the non-quarterbacks I'd be willing to take, and there's a chance they're all gone by the time D's there. So yeah, in that position, I probably would entertain strongly the idea of just going 2 QBs.
Yeah. I mean, I will say though, some crazy shit happen in if some crazy shit happen in like a Jamar Chase is there at 12, which I don't think either one of you 2 will let happen, but if Jamar Chase is there at 12, my mind can't fathom that, but I'm taking him, and then I'm gonna figure it out from there.
I could see myself letting Jamar Chase fall if someone else that's even crazier falls. Like
it's a domino
there,
like,
right?
My first and second round picks is very dependent on what falls to me, and I think for something that you 2 both should know as the commissioner of this league, I individually know all the people in this league. I don't know if all the individuals know each other in this league, but I know enough about the people in this league to know that there are people where I'm like, they're going to come in with a good draft strategy. And I know there's other people that are just going to come in with a bat and hell type of draft strategy and think they know some ball. And they're going to fuck up a lot. Like in our Dynasty League, when Justin Herbert went 101 overall, and the collective, I heard it. Everyone was just like, oh, the whole chat was just like, oh.
Yeah, that was very easy for me because Josh, I didn't think Josh was going to fall.
Yeah, so I anticipate something like that happening again. Like
it's funny because everyone I personally know that's in this draft is all in the back half. My buddy Patrick's at 107, Danny's at 108, I'm at 110, Gladys is at 111, D's at 112. Like in the front
Gladys,
half.
Don't be taking my picks either, Gladys.
What? Dog, I had a draft last night, and just every round I kept getting sniped. Like the person in front of me was just like, "Oh, thank you." And I'm like, Tough
Shout out
scene.
to Jeff Lambert because he organized another zombie league this year, and yeah, that Shane Barrett and Jamie both like they were. I think Shane was next to me, and I think Jamie was 2 picks away from me. So it's like every round or every other round, essentially one would snipe me or the other. Like, okay, coming this way, Shane would snipe me, and then coming back, Jamie would snipe me. And it's like, oh crap, guys.
I got a redraft league. I'm picking fifth in a week. I'm picking fifth, and I anticipate a lot of sniping. 1 QB 10-team league PPR.
Fifth is nice because I think there's 5 guys that I would absolutely really want, and then you're guaranteed to get one of those 5.
Yeah.
So
who are those 5?
Well, I think there's 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end.
Yeah.
So assuming well, even I guess half PPR or full PPR doesn't really matter because the 2 running backs are pass catchers anyway.
Yeah, and I'm not going to hold you. Every mock I've done for this particular league, I'm taking Travis Kelce every time, and I'd don't even question it. Like,
for sure,
don't just taking them. And if they're smart, because last year I stacked Mahomes and Kelce and rode that all the way to the championship game. If this league is smart, they wouldn't let me do it again. But that is my game plan. That is my.
Is it full PPR or half PPR?
Full PPR.
Because I think in half PPR, we talked about Jefferson setting records. The one record that would shock me that if Jefferson set would be the touchdown record. I think he's more likely to set the yards record or the reception record, but Jefferson catching 24 touchdowns would surprise me. Like even Chase doing it would surprise me, but I could see the scenario where that Chase makes that happen because he's just so special.
Listen, man, all it takes a few 3 touchdown games against the Bears. A monster game.
Yeah, those will happen. That's true.
Yeah, 3 touchdown games versus the Bears, a couple 2 touchdown games. He'll be right there.
All to say, in a half PPR where you're going to put more emphasis on touchdowns, Chase over Jefferson or even a Kelce over Jefferson could make sense for that. But in a full PPR, you'd probably push up Jefferson just for the sheer number of catches he's probably going to make this year.
Yep. And so at 5, I'm feeling confident in taking Travis Kelce. Now, let me ask you guys this. In this same league, if I take Travis Kelce, round 1, pick 105, am I crazy on that second round pick just securing the stack and just drafting
Magic if you're gonna?
I'm gonna tell you right now, Mahomes not gonna be there. Someone's gonna take him.
I think he is gonna be there.
10 team as well, right? Like
listen. Last year I got this is the same league. Yeah. Last year I got Mahomes beginning of the 3rd round.
Oh wow.
That's my next question. Do you think you could push it to the 3rd round, grab someone else in the 2nd, and push?
I think when I tell you guys, I ran through this league up until the championship game. Like I was the team to beat, and every week everyone was very mad at me because they had to play Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I think they're going to try to not make that happen, but that would also mean that you would pass up on talented people, and that's why I would rather get Travis than get Patrick Mahomes and then figure out my other skill position players because I know from there I'm just drafting depth.
And if you're so picking at the 5, you'd be like, I guess 8 picks away from your next pick. So you could telegraph from there, okay, who are the 8 players that I'd be willing to take as either my wide receiver 1 or my RB2? And if you've got a list of 8 from that point you're comfortable with, then go with Mahomes. I can feel like that list runs dry. Maybe just take from that and hope Mahomes gets back to you. Because if that list is running dry at that point, it may be because people are hammering those positions so much.
I could see it being in an ideal world. I could see it being my draft being Kelce, Mahomes, Aaron Jones, and then maybe like a T. Higgins if he's there. I don't know if he'll be
Jones
there,
I find I've done a few drafts and I've taken him in almost every draft.
I don't get it. Like, every year people sleep on Aaron Jones, and every year he is near the top in like just total.
Every year everyone's expecting AJ Dillon to do better than him, and every year those people are as disappointed as Lions fans.
Very disappointed.
I know we're getting close time. Can I read you guys the team I drafted last night? Yahoo gave me a C for this, and I don't know why.
Yeah, they don't know their grades, so it probably means you'll win the league. But go ahead.
So it's a 12-team PPR league. Dak, Tyreek Hill, DK, Keenan Allen, Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams, TJ Hawkinson, and Antonio Gibson. Those are my starters.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I think I might I'm a little hesitant on Javonte or Gibson as your RB2, but to me, just based on your receivers that you named, you probably don't want to have too much depth at receiver. because like you're starting most of those studs anyway. Like you're very rarely ever going to
take them out. Yeah,
you're just going to load your bench full of depth running backs, and you can like plug and play your RB2 and RB3 every week if you've got like a wide group to take from. That's what I would think of in terms of ideal strategy. But like you named those receivers, Tyreek, Keenan Allen. There was another name in there too. Like
DK.
Like that
all
trio,
possession receivers awesome. Too. So their volume is very high.
Plug and play those three, and then
I think I'm going to win this league.
That's how I'm feeling about our
DJ is a difference maker at tight end too. So yeah, you've got really like the one weakness on your team seems like it could be. I mean, in a I guess 12-team league, Dak might finish his QB 12, right? Like almost everyone else might have a better starter, but he'll be close enough that won't be a huge difference. But yeah, it's really just that RB2. If Javonte's slow to come back from injury, if Brian Robinson takes a lot of pass catching work and Gibson is really just reduced to a clear backup, like those would be the things where it could go wrong for you. But even then, you just got to find a way to. You have 17 weeks to fill an RB2 that you can just like pick up off the waiver. If you can get 4 solid receivers every week and you never have to flex a running back, that would make up for the risk of those. But if Javonte comes back healthy and he's smashing right away, catching a ton of passes, if Gibson and Brian Robinson are clear 50-50 options and you can pick the matchups with Gibson, like that could still work really well too. So yeah, I do like your team.
Not bad, my brother. You drafting well. Too bad you're not going to be drafting that well in the week.
Listen, I just got to find another sucker to trade with.
Listen, I want you to know when I tell you that league and this other league where I was just talking to you guys about my draft strategy, those are the 2 leagues I want to win the most. Like I am going to put extra emphasis into studying this league to make sure I win it because I want to talk so much shit. Our Superflex league, I think, is going to be the most fun league just because I'm very curious to see how people build their rosters. Our Dynasty League, that's just my long play. I'm going to feel very accomplished if and when I ever win that league. But
I can tell you what it feels like to win that league if you ever want to know.
Yeah, too bad you won't. Listen, everyone's got a Cinderella story, but our all money in redraft league and my college league, I want to win like bad. And both of these leagues, this is the last thing I'm gonna say before we get out of here. In both of these 2 leagues that I want to win bad, I've had a sustained history of success. Like I have won a lot of games in this leagues. I just get to the playoffs, second round every year, or I make it to the championship game and just can't win it.
You're the Cowboys.
Don't do that. I'm the Packers.
You're the Cowboys.
But like last year, I had Mahomes and Kelsey. I had Mahomes, Kelsey, Jalen Waddle, Damian Pierce. Like this was a good team. Made it to the championship game, lost by like 6 points. No, I had Patrick Mahomes, Juju, Travis Kelsey, Jalen Waddle, Damian Pierce. Like this was Harrison Butker. I was all in on the Chiefs offense. And I was just smoking people left and right. Got to the championship game, lost by like 6 points because I forgot who I didn't start, or Juju dropped the pass that probably would have won me the league. It's whatever. All is that to say, in both of these leagues, everyone should be afraid because Vince McMahon is coming.
Oh no.
And that is me. Danny. Kyle. Let the people know where they can find you.
Kyle, you are our guest, so you go first.
Well, so my name is Kyle Senra. You can follow me on Twitter or X or whatever it's called. That is the official name of the app, by the way. I know that was Jeff Lambert.
Never calling it X. Never.
It's Twitter or X or whatever it's called. It's now a 7-word title for the name of the app. But anyway, I'm there at Senra Says. As I mentioned earlier, Gladys and Dan and myself, we co-host the Monday night pregame show. Will be on most Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Going for Two Live network right here. There's a couple of like week 2, week 3, there's doubleheader games and those start at 7. So I don't know. We haven't decided what to do. And traditionally in the past, we've just started an hour earlier at 6 p.m. instead. But yeah, it's super fun. We'll sometimes have Dr. James Freddy on. He was a regular co-host of ours last year, talking injury updates when he's on, injury analysis, predicting when players should be returned to form in terms of comfortability starting them. And so he gives a lot of good time frames for that. A lot of reading the tea leaves when it comes to coach speak. He seems to be able to.
When is Jonathan Taylor going to be cleared to play?
Well,
let's think. I think that goes beyond injury. Like Doc won't have an answer on that because he can only say with the ankle injury, so he's on the PUP list, so he's ineligible to play for the first 4 weeks. So I think injury wise, I think the expectation is he comes back week 5. But is there drama with the team that makes it so he doesn't come back? That's, I think, even maybe more the worry than the actual injury at this point. So.
That's true, man.
Luckily, I have Deion Jackson so much in so many leagues. But anyway, so yeah, Monday Night Preview show will be on every Monday. I also do some work with Full Press Coverage. I write articles. That's where my weekly rankings can be found. Although you can also find my rankings as part of the consensus, actually all 3 dynasty rankings. Up to this point, we're still doing our redraft draft rankings as well. So that's available on the Going for 2 website. I'm part of that consensus. And then the weekly rankings will be out on the website as well once we hit week 1. So I've got to work on those week 1 rankings. But yeah, I also individually publish them on the Full Press Coverage website, fullpresscoverage.com. In season, I write an article called the Goal Line Guide, which is, I talk about my touchdown predictions, like season-long predictions. I also do like weekly predictions based on, I get a lot of data that, the reason I do this myself is because I wanted this information and no one else does it. So I've done it myself. I go through every game log. I'll shout out the ESPN website because you go to their games, they give a play-by-play breakdown of every game, every NFL game every week. And so I go through that and I look at every play from inside the 5 to feed my Goal Line Guide data. I want to see which teams are scoring inside the 5 and like how effective they are at doing so. But I'm also looking at defensive teams, which teams are allowing touchdowns inside the 5, rushing, try and cross-reference that to matchups every week. How does this team's goal line offense fare against this team's goal line defense on the ground? And then the same thing for through the air, and like try and figure out where these touchdowns will come from and which players are likely to be the recipients of these touchdowns. I look for team situations and think, okay, this team situation is screaming to me, which players should I elevate in my weekly rankings this week because they have higher chance to score touchdowns? That's sort of how I try to, that's my flavor I add to weekly rankings in the fantasy community. One last thing I want to shout out, I am wearing the Yama Yama shirt. So I'm a part of the Yama Yama Sound. We're a musical band. This is Yama Yama Sound, Yama Yama Studios, Yama Yama everything is from the brain of Patrick Pilla, who is Nigerian. He's born in a village close to Abuja, which is the capital of Nigeria. He immigrated to Canada to study architecture, so he has graduated from here in Sudbury, the school, Laurentian University, in the architecture program. And that's actually how he and I met. So he's been making music even before he met me. He's an incredible singer, good keyboard player as well, incredible producer, very strong rhythmically, and just a great sense for the technical aspects of how to produce, but the sound of how to produce as well. He's such a phenomenal musician. So he's got albums out. I've played on one of the albums. I recorded the Yama Yama Experience. I recorded some guitar tracks for a few of the songs on that album.
Okay, now.
And as part of the Yama Yama Sound, part of what we do is we'll do a couple cover songs, but we try to bring Patrick's songs to life. And so we have a band. We've done a few shows throughout the summer this year, playing different festivals around Sudbury. I know I've shared his music with you. I did suggest Seduga Day as a track off of his most recent album, because Patrick has released a few singles since then under the name PA the Second. And so if anyone wants to check him out, social media is usually it's PA_II, which is his way of writing PA the Second. Patrick Pilla Jr. That was his father's name, so that's where PA the Second comes from. So he writes it PA.II, Roman numerals for II, which is the second. So that's where that comes from. So yeah, usually social media PA_II, PA_II official. That's where to look for on Twitter, on Instagram to get. He'll share clips. He'll share songs. He'll do studio. I mean, he's got there's a YouTube channel as well, so you can studio tutorials, behind the scenes recording different songs, music videos, tracks themselves. So yeah, PA is fantastic. I'm super happy that I got to meet him and to experience this, make music, play live with him. It's super great.
That's fly, Kyle. Shout out to you. Shout out to the whole music collective, music group. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Danny.
Find me on that app, Danny Ocean 41. I'm not as cool as Kyle, so that's Speak on the _pod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Send us your email, speakonthepod14@gmail.com.
Hey, y'all know where to find the bro with the fro, Losty Mix on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Twitch. Hey, my DJ debut is coming. I actually listen. Yesterday, it's funny. Most time when I'm at home and I'm practicing, I usually just practice mixing with hip hop and R&B. But yesterday, the class I took, we were using nothing but house music. I never realized how much like the thing is, house music is so much easier to mix and like DJ with. Hip hop and R&B, bro. There's just so much going on. But yesterday, I kind of shocked myself with like how quickly I kind of already knew what I was doing. So it's just
nice, dude. Yeah, you've been putting in the work. So
yeah. Like I was. He could tell. I think the one good thing, the one most important thing I learned yesterday, he kept emphasizing with me that I don't need to spend so much time like trying to feel what I'm doing. Just kind of look up and feel the music in you, and it's just so much easier to mix. And as soon as I kind of got into it, kind of feeling the music a little bit better, I was cranking. Listen, I might have to spin some more house music into a few of my sets. I like the vibes.
We're waiting for it.
Listen, it's coming. It's coming. Listen, people, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with us. So make sure you speak on it. We, on behalf of myself and Danny, want to send a huge thank you to our guy Kyle for pulling up and hanging with us. It's always a blessing anytime you show up here. And we are excited for this NFL season. Excited for next week drafting and a few dynasty leagues with you both. Make sure you guys follow the pod, speak on _pod. Make sure you send us your some questions, speak on it, pod14@gmail.com. Kyle, Danny, any last words before we are out of here?
We're off for 2 weeks. So we are off for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll be back to
week 1 essentially.
Yeah, we'll be out week 1 and week 2. So when we come back, we'll be prepping for week 3.
Oh yeah,
no, we'll be
right. Yeah, 2 full weeks. Yeah. Or your next show is 2 weeks from today.
Yes. So it will be no. Next week's week 1. Yeah, it'll be week 3.
Okay, so 2 full weeks off. Okay, wow. I'll be sad. I love Tuesday nights watching you guys. Actually, kind of happy that the fantasy cheat sheet wasn't on tonight because we went almost.
Oh yeah, they would have kicked us off.
I know you guys didn't necessarily plan it. I'm not sure why I guess I actually know why the Packers division was the last one to go. But my favorite number is 14. So the fact you guys invited me on to episode 114.
My favorite number is 14.
Oh, awesome.
I was born on May 14th, Kyle. What's up? We was meant to be boys.
All right, man. There we go. This episode is meant to happen. So I'm forever grateful for both of you. You put on such a phenomenal show. I'm so happy that you think I'm entertaining enough to join you.
This is anytime, my brother. People, make sure you speak on it. Peace.